Iran is once again witnessing protests driven by deep public anger over the economy, freedoms and the future of the country. The big question this afternoon then is whether this moment marks a real turning point for the Islamic Republic or whether it's another flash of unrest the regime believes it can ride out. So joining us now from London is Burzine Waghmar from the Center for Iranian Studies at SOAS University of London. Mr. Waghmar, thank you so much for joining me here on Breaking Ground. My first question to you, sir, is this moment in Iran a genuine turning point or just another flash in the pan that the regime will eventually suppress?
I'll take your latter point first. Is it just another round of protests and then opposition exhaustion sets in and things go back to normal with the regime garnering the upper hand? We've seen that played out over and over again. What makes the protests distinct and not distinct are this, Devika. Firstly, the people out are there and it's very voluble, but it's not the 2 and 3 million that we saw during the Green Revolution of 2009. We've not reached those numbers in terms of protests, despite being national pan-Iranian protests across all 31 provinces now. It was up to 22 provinces until a few days ago, but now it's across all 31 provinces, including small towns and hamlets, not just the major cities like Tehran, Isfahan, Shiraz, Mashhad. That's number one. Number two, so far the government has sent out conflicting signals. President Pezeshkian has asked the police and security forces to exercise restraint because he's something of a moderate, which is why he was elected in the first place. But the security forces and the regime hardliners are not having any of it, looking upon these genuine grassroots movements as led by insurrectionists funded from abroad or by Israel or the US and all that kind of nonsense. They've capitalized on that over and over again, but this time it's not so, and it may tip against them because the traditional bazaar element is out, which is dead set against the regime's inefficiencies and ineptitudes too. The bazaar as such, the marketplace, consists of the Shia, pious traditional merchant class who supported the revolution in 79, ironically against Reza Pahlavi's father when he was ousted in Jan 79. And they were in more ways than one continue being the lifeline and providing patronage networks and legitimacy to the current dispensation over the last 47 years. But they've been hard hit by this economic mismanagement, which has more to do with endemic corruption and venality, less so with sanctions. Much less so with sanctions, but with the basic sclerotic economy, structural iniquities and inefficiencies which have been embedded over the last so many decades.
So, Burzine, that brings me to my next question. Do these protests signal a deeper erosion then of the regime's legitimacy, or does the state still have firm control?
The regime has no legitimacy. I can answer that right away. It has no legitimacy across the board, across all strata of Iranian society, well, except those who benefited from it, the financial oligarchy surrounding Khamenei, who've done well for themselves, and who, unconfirmed reports now mention, some are flighting it by asking for visas for France. And that reminds me of pointing out to your viewers what has happened overnight. Foreign Minister Arakchi arrived in Beirut on what was considered a routine official visit, but he also brought his family with him, and they are now comfortably ensconced in Beirut, his family. Turkish Airlines announced a few minutes ago that they are discontinuing flights to Tehran today, suspending for a while. So that's something to be seen because Iran-Turkey flights are the maximum flights that operate in terms of sheer traffic growth out of Iran. So that's something to be noted. And also, with what happened in Venezuela over the weekend, it has concentrated the minds of those who are, well, attached to the regime and regime survivalists, hardliners, who have been mulling, Devika, whether Khamenei ought go or not. Now, this is something that can be theoretically done and could always be done. The supreme leader, the Valier Faki, could be removed by Article 111 of the Constitution. It exists theoretically on paper, but it's such a stitched up system that it would never happen because the assembly of experts, the 88-member clerical body who elects him, are itself vetted by what is called a guardian council, 6 of whom are appointed by Khamenei itself.
I like the phrase you use there, Mr. Waghmar. You go on to say that this is a stitched kind of regime, but I want to also focus on the women, and I would ask my director to put some visuals of the women protesting there in Iran on our screens as well. Women and young people are at the forefront again. Does this leadership fundamentally change the trajectory, or would you say this is largely symbolic, what we're seeing with women participating in these protests, sir?
It's not symbolic. It is palpable. It is very much evident because it's women, but also the Gen Z, if you can put it that way. Not just the boomer generation, like the lady currently on your screen, but the Gen Z, the younger ones, who are stifled by petty repressive measures. And it's a bit too little and too late. As I speak, in the last few weeks, they've been mulling, should we pass the bill into law or not? And what's the bill I'm referring to? Whether female motorcyclists can be allowed. I mean, this is the 21st century, and females on bikes are permitted with, I suppose, with a husband or a male, but they're not allowed to ride on their own. So it's this kind of attitude and the repressive measures and a slew of other measures, not just the veil as such, against which people are calling out, and a young, restive population. Over 65% of Iran's current demographic is in the working age group between 18 and 60 is as such.
Interesting.
So you have a very restive population and a literate population with 90+% literacy, with no opportunities or nothing to look forward to. And when you see these protests with the girls calling out, I've been dead for the last 47 years. It is ironic for a historian like me to see that these were the very same protests back in 78, 79 to oust the current Shah's son, who has been calling for these protests now, against his father, because it feeds into that Shia psyche of martyrdom. That cannot be ruled out and is being played out over and over again.
All right.
The difference this time being is that you have a regime which is ostensibly Islamic and calls itself a moral regime, and yet doesn't think twice about shooting its own population in cold blood.
All right, so then answer this question for me, sir. Can a protest movement without a central leadership realistically force change in a country like Iran?
That is to be seen, because in the last 12 days, what I have not perceived is the quantum of repressive force that the regime can bring to play, and which it has done so in the past. 2009, 2017, 2022, and going back all the way actually to 1999. It has the full force of measure that it could bring to play, but it has not done so yet. If that were to kick in with a full-fledged sledgehammer approach, because currently Iran is on a yellow alert, if it were to go to red alert, the RGC Revolutionary Guards infantry battalions would be out, and things would then go into a full live Tiananmen Square protests with mass shootings in cold blood. We have seen shootings in cold blood. We've seen security forces enter hospital wards, dragging out wounded protesters who are being medically attended to, which was done last Sunday. And the president has asked them not to do so, the forces in question.
All right.
But that shows that there is a dichotomy within the higher-ups as to what to be done next.
All right, I have two quick questions for you. I'm running out of time, but I would love and appreciate for you to answer both. My question to you is, the state's response has been heavy-handed. Is that a sign of confidence, would you say, or growing vulnerability given the protests that we're seeing on the streets of Tehran and other parts of the country?
Well, how many people can you kill is the question. Which is precisely, again, Devika, which happened in 78, 79, when the Shah was, I'm not going to stand in a pool of blood of my own people. Now, the question is, this time again, because it's an Islamic government, it claims moral legitimacy to rule, and that is completely in tatters. And Khamenei's legitimacy and that of the clerics around him. On what basis do you rule? What is the social contract? That has been completely broken with the people over 47 years, and I cannot see them putting that back again.
All right, before I let you go, Burzine, is Iran then closer today to meaningful change than it was a few years ago? Or is the system then still firmly holding the line?
The system is holding the line. Yes, I can say that, because it is a strong state. It is not a failing state. you could put it arguably, it's maybe a failing state which refuses to fail, is the best way I can put it currently. But it is a strong state. It has not enforced with full measure and brutality what it has at its disposal to do so. It can do so at a moment's notice and can shut these protests down if it were to come to it. There's nothing to stop them from doing so, but it's just that the sheer dysfunctionality of the regime and the confusion at the high and Khamenei's indecisiveness that is compounding the situation.
All right, that was Burzine Waghmar from the Center for Iranian Studies at